Today, we're talking about the 5 things that stop people from investing in real estate. So let's get started. Did you know real estate is the number 1 wealth maker, not just in the United States, but around the world? If you think about real estate, doesn't matter what country you come from, rich or poor, guess who the wealthiest segment of the society is? It's always people who own a lot of real estate, or in the old days, it was people who own a lot of land. So a lot of times the question comes up is, why not real estate? And why not real estate for you? And whenever they asked a lot of people a survey, they gave 5 the most common reasons, and we have all at some point said these when it comes to investing, why we invest or why we don't invest. And so they are, number 1 is, I don't know what to do. We've all felt that. Number 2 is money and or credit. Number 3 is time. I just don't have the time. I'm too busy with what I do. Number 4 is, oh my God, this is all BS. This is just a scam. They're trying to sell me something. And number 5 is, I already know what to do. I just don't do it. So let's start with on the top. So number 1, why wealth is created with real estate. I mean, it doesn't matter if you look at BC, which is before the birth of Christ, or after, people who have built wealth. Real estate, meaning owning land and owning a lot of property, has been a big part where people hold and the vehicle with which people build wealth. Today, even in the era of cryptocurrency with all the modern technology, guess what the wealthy people do? They not only own a lot of real estate when they're wealthy, but they use real estate to build wealth. Not just in terms of active income, but also in terms of passive income, and it goes much farther beyond that. They use real estate in order to pass on assets to the next generation because it's the number 1 hedge against inflation. If you come from a country, if you're an immigrant, where there's a lot of inflation, what is the number 1 hedge? It's not gold. It's actually real estate is the number 1 hedge against inflation. So a lot of times whenever people think about investing in real estate, they go, well, I don't really know what to do. Guys, today, in the age of the amount of Instagram, the amount of YouTube, the amount of information that is out there, right? That cannot be the excuse. Now, I know a lot of times what happens is people are like, well, I don't know who to trust, Andrew. I don't know if you are telling the truth. And that's a very fair point. So a lot of times what you have to do is you have to start, number 1, absorbing information. Be it with a podcast, something like this, be it with going just on YouTube, getting out there and starting to absorb information. Now, who succeeds in real estate is a big point of it. As we talk about, I don't know, because who fails and who succeeds? People who succeed in real estate are not people who started out with a lot of money. People who succeed, and not by succeed meaning that people who will drive a flashy car and try to tell you, oh my God, I'm successful in real estate, follow me, follow me, follow me, or like me. That's not true wealth. People who are truly successful with real estate generally are people who, number 1, have a long-term thinking. They think long-term, they have good tendencies of being able to save and or invest. Generally, people who end up on the top with long-term wealth are people who can think clearly, meaning they don't jump from one thing to another, to another, to another. So if that's you, that every day you come up with new ideas, and mind you, that was me for years. Every day I would think about a new idea. And just because I can think about a new idea every day, I wouldn't stick with anything, and guess what it does? You're never going to succeed if that's who you are, and if that's the type of personality you have. The odds of somebody who's a teacher, the odds of somebody who's an accountant, the odds of somebody who's an attorney, meaning boring professions. There are more millionaires that come from that profession than people who are necessarily high earners, or than people who are necessarily doctors that abnormally, compared to the normal population, they earn more. Yet, there are more teachers that are millionaires. There are more attorneys that are millionaires. There are more accountants that are more millionaires statistically. Why? Because they're boring, they think long term, and they think with a long-term focus, and they have clear thinking. Once they latch onto an idea, they do research and they invest for the long term. So if you're that person that says, I don't know where to start, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you consume podcasts, this is one of the best places to start. And here's a book that I'm going to refer you to, or a personality I will refer you to. And that's not me. I'll refer you to a name that everybody knows, and it's called Warren Buffett. Probably one of the greatest investors in the history of mankind. Now, for some of you crypto people, or some of you who basically want to be successful tomorrow overnight, go buy a lottery ticket, right? Probably real estate is not going to work for you because clearly you don't understand how to invest. But if you're serious, if you're somebody that really wants to learn, read every book there is to read about Warren Buffett. In my life, I never went to a real estate seminar. I never attended a real estate conference. What I did was I took all the ideas that are from Warren Buffett's books about investing, because those ideas, they work in the stock market and they work in real estate. Because why? They're about one thing. They're about understanding the underlying value of an asset, holding the asset for a long period of time, and making money because of it. Every single thing that I do, all I am and all I ever will be when it comes to investing, is because of one personality, that is Warren Buffett. And those books that have been written about him, and there's a great book that's a dense book to start with, but it's called The Intelligent Investor. It was written by Benjamin Graham, who was the coach or the teacher, professor for Warren Buffett. Probably one of the best learnings that you will ever get in terms of understanding the mindset of the very, very, very wealthy. And it's not written by any guru. It's not written by anybody who's trying to sell you anything. These are books that are true about investing that are on Warren Buffett. And for some of you guys like me nowadays that I don't necessarily read as much, but then download on Audible or something like that all the books that have been written about Warren Buffett and about his life and Charlie Munger. Probably the best education you can ever have before you start thinking about investing in real estate. So the next thing is money and credit. And I hear this all the time. And I felt this for years and years. Because since the age of about 14, 15, I wanted to be successful. I had both parents that were doctors. My dad was an orthopedic surgeon. Mom was an OB/GYN gynecologist. And I was the kid in the family that was kind of the naughty kid. Academics, getting good grades in school was not my thing. Not that I was an idiot either, but I was somewhere in the middle. But when you have high-performing parents, that being in the middle doesn't work very well. And yet, always being Indian parents, it was like, well, we made our own money. We had started with nothing, and today we are doing good because God blessed us and we work very hard, right? And a lot of us had parents like that, or a lot of us have grown up with that thinking. So it was all about good school, good grades, good job. That's how you get rich. But when I looked at my parents, did they earn a abnormally high income compared to other people? 100%. They did. But they were not wealthy. They were rich, meaning they were high income earners, and they were rich, but they were not wealthy. So when I would talk to them about money, I would talk to them about credit. Hey, how do people get rich? They had no answers. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job or a good profession, and that's how you get rich. But when I looked at them, I'm like, well, but you guys aren't. I didn't know the difference at that time between rich and wealthy, because rich is what you earn. Wealth is the cash flow you have coming in, which you don't have to go to work for. That's the biggest difference between rich and wealth. And they did not have any sort of an answer for me, because all they said is work hard. I'm like, okay, you guys work hard every day. You guys are passionate about what you do a good job, but then how come we don't have the biggest houses? How come you guys don't have the most assets? And they didn't have an answer for that. And the reason I bring this up when I talk about money and credit, because when I started in real estate, the way I started was I quit college, not suggesting you do that at all, because the chances of you statistically being a multimillionaire or millionaire are higher if you have a college education. You don't need it. But if you have it, your statistical chances are higher, right? This is just stats. Anybody that says, oh, don't go to college, without college is bullshit, it's complete bullshit. Now, is college in itself bullshit? Yes, because a lot of times they will promote courses, they will promote stuff. As long as you keep taking classes, a college is making money. If you're going to go to college, you have to be strategic. You have to be smart. You have to get an education that will get you a profession or a career that will pay you higher than abnormal, than the normal person, so that you end up in a better place quicker than the other person. So it's about strategy even when you go to college. But when we talk about money and credit, the way I did it was not a way I would suggest, but that's kind of how I did it, which is in college, I got into real estate sales, struggled 2-3 years. And it took me almost from the age of 20 years old till 32 when I first started doing flips in real estate. And even at 32, I did flips, 33, 34. Until the age of 35, I truly did not understand what investing was. I always wanted to invest. But what I did was I kept doing flips to hopefully make more money. What I was doing was I went from a real estate agent job, which is a commission sales, to doing a lot of flips, which is another job. And all I had was a glorified profession of flipping a lot of houses and a lot of stress. For the first time, when I started truly understanding investing, was I took a loan of $20,000. It was not my own money. It was a home equity loan on my property, on a townhouse I used to live in. And I took that money and I did a first flip with it. Then I kept investing that money over and over and over for years. That was the first seed capital. Guys, if you don't have money and you're like, well, that's why I can't invest in real estate, right? Invest in education. Understand what is a deal. What the money you make in real estate is only because of two things. Number one, do you know how to find assets or deals at a low price, meaning at a really, really good price? And then, can you partner with somebody else? That's exactly what I did. I had $20,000, not enough to start for me. And I talked to a bunch of people, found one guy that had a good amount of money, but he said, hey man, I'll put up $20,000. And that was literally my start. It is not, at the time, I did not have perfect credit. And so this is not based on whether you have the money or the credit. See, real estate investing is based on one thing. Number one, are you willing to put in the time, put in the effort to learn how to find deals? That's the first part of it where this process starts. And over the years, as I started doing deals, so my little money that I had borrowed, his little money, I put it together and got a hard money loan to do my first flip. First flip made about $20,000. That's all I made. I did not take that money home. I reinvested that into flip number 2. Then I was able to take that money, divide it into 2, then go do 4 flips. Once I made money on the 4 flips, 3 flips made money, 1 flip did not. So then I took that, divided it further, did 6, 8, and that's how the business grew. Guys, real estate, like anything else, it's not based on how much money do you have. It's based on a skill set. Why real estate is the number one builder of wealth in this world? Because number one, you can use leverage. Number two, what happens is as economies rise, as they fall, inflation always happens. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, doesn't really matter. But as that happens, your property value continues to go up. The real thing is not money or credit, because money and credit, there are ways where you can partner for deals. You can always do joint ventures with other people. You can go get hard money. So money and credit is really an excuse for saying, well, I don't know where to start. The third thing, this is a big one, it's, well, I just don't have the time. And I understand nobody has the time. When I was in college, I didn't have the time. When I was selling real estate, I didn't have the time. If you're somebody that has kids, you probably don't have the time. But guess what? You make the time to do things that you really need to do. Now, if you say, hey, I'm so wealthy that I don't really have the time and I'm not willing to make the time, that's a different issue. But if that's not the case, real estate investing is the best place you will ever spend your time. Why? Because the return is so damn high, right? The return on the money is so damn high that there's nothing better that you could ever do. And just please understand, nobody has the time. but we make time for things that are important. If you have kids, if you have a spouse, if you have any other people that rely on you, right, then make the time for them. Because if you're not going to do it for you, you're going to do it to help their future. Because this is a tough one. But guess what? Who are the people who succeed the most in real estate? See, in my experience, in the last about 15 years, I've worked, I've trained, I've coached a few thousand people. And you know the people who end up always being the most successful are the people who are generally the busiest people. They're not necessarily the people that have the most amount of time, but because they're people who are sincere about their own future, they're willing to make the time, and they make the time. That means giving up some things like maybe watching a lot of TV, maybe watching football, maybe watching your favorite things. Nobody's saying don't go to the gym, don't walk half an hour. That's not what I'm saying. But see, at some point, if you want to gain something, you're going to have to give up. See, real estate is about 5 years. If you take care of real estate for the first 5 years, real estate will take care of you for the rest of your life. The question is it going to be now or is it going to be in the future? See, you can pay now and enjoy for the rest of your life, or you can put it off the future and you're going to work the rest of your life. So the question is, when are you going to make the time? It's not whether you have the time. The next was, this is bullshit. This is a big one, especially nowadays, right? Because we all, a lot of times, are so jaded. We have heard so much stuff that is either fake, that is false, that is stuff that is too good to be true, that a lot of times we all are, oh my God, this is bullshit. And guys, listen, what is bullshit? Is it bullshit that you're trying to invest for your future? Is it bullshit that you're going to put a little bit money aside for your kids? Is it bullshit that you're going to make time to provide a better quality of life for you and your family? See, that is not bullshit. What is bullshit a lot of times is that we all want it to be true. See, when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20 years old, I wanted to be rich tomorrow. I wanted to drive a nice car. And I think it doesn't really matter if you're a man or woman, in between, doesn't really make a difference. We all want, right, what money can buy. It's not about money. It's what money can buy. See, money can help you buy your time back. Money can help you buy things, afford things, give you experiences that money can buy. And that's what we're all after. So if you have this attitude that, oh my God, I'm just cynical and I'm cynical about everything, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be cynical tomorrow whether it's going to work out with elections or not. You're going to be cynical whether I should wake out of bed or not. And if you're just that guy that's just cynical about everything, find a tall building and jump. Find a tall building, I said that, and jump. Why? Because if everything is going to be negative, if nothing is going to work out, then what is there to look for tomorrow? See, good investors are short-term pessimists. Hear this very carefully. Good investors are short-term pessimists, meaning they don't put all their hopes in the tomorrow's basket. They're kind of a little bit skeptical of tomorrow, but they're long-term optimists, right? What does that mean? Short-term, they're like, hey, I'm not quite sure, so I'm going to be cautious how I invest, what I do. But in the long term, they are optimistic that tomorrow is going to be a great future. If that's not how you think, then why would you ever even invest? Why would you do anything in life if you don't look at it as an optimistic future? So it becomes really important to understand that, and you can't be this person that is cynical about everything in life. You got to be skeptical. What's the difference between a cynic and a skeptic? See, cynic is somebody who basically doesn't believe anything. What is a skeptic? Skeptic, as somebody once said, is that trust but verify. And in fact, I will say verify, then trust, and then verify again in today's society. Why? Because there is so much BS, right? So that doesn't mean that everything is BS. What you figure out is, okay, who is for real? I started out this particular recording saying that probably one of the first things you should ever read is any books, any audiobooks that you can get on Warren Buffett. Because probably one of the best investors ever. It's based on basic foundations of long-term investing. And that's what you have to understand is that not all information that is out there. Because if you think about real estate, it's all about not taking speculation, not investing, well, whether this is going to work out. See, real estate investing is a science. And it's a science that 99.9% times you can put the odds in your favor if you invest and if you understand the logic behind it. So be careful that don't be so cynical, don't be so much of a person that, oh my God, everything is bullshit, that you're not open to any ideas, because you'll never learn, you will never grow, and you will never end up building your future. Last but not least, this is probably one of the most dangerous ones, which is I already know. And please, if you're a real estate agent, I know you already know. If you're an attorney, I know you already know. And if you're an accountant, I know you already know. Because that's what I hear probably more from real estate agents, from attorneys, especially that are in the real estate business, or that do real estate closings, or loan officers, people who are in title business. Oh, Andrew, I already know. My question to you, my friend, is this. If you already know so much, how come you don't have anything? How come your bank account does not show that kind of cash flow coming in? Because if you already knew and you don't do it, then you don't really know. You are full of BS. And yes, I said it because I was that person. I was that hardworking person that was running on the treadmill all the time. And when somebody came in and would have asked me when I was 30 years old, that, hey, what do you have to show for last 10 years worth of work? You know, I would have gotten very upset with you. I would have gotten very upset with you because how dare you? I'm selling 40, 50, 60 houses. How dare you ask me what do I have? Why did I get mad? Because I had nothing. See, when I had 2 houses, I could at least go, hey, listen, I don't have a lot, but I have 2 houses. When I had 4, I could point to that. When I had 10, I could point to that. Because then I was proud of the assets I had. See, you get mad when that question is asked because of one reason, because you're scared. Because you know you should be doing something, that's what you know. What you don't know is that you don't know how to invest. That is something that needs to be learned. You know you need to be doing something and you're not doing it, that's when you get mad. Having said that, hopefully some of the things I pointed out made some sense. This is Andrew Holmes with Cashflow for Life. Please make sure you follow, like, help us grow, and I'll talk to you soon.